On this week's episode of According to Me and Bunny, we're just 2 days away from September 11th. A serious reflection later on in the program, but can't be all serious, of course. We'll talk the Stop by Rand rally that happened in D.C. And if you hoped it was going to be a Trump-free show, more idiocy from Trumpy the Clown will share. A sports-related asshat of the week, Al Gore's new rap album. But we start discussing Kim Davis. While everyone's talked about it, you ain't heard it quite this way. That's now on According to Me and Bunny. Here's a story of Polita Bunny. Annoying liberals on Twitter was her goal. She had a radio show, and it was badass, with lots of fans and lots of trolls.
Here's a story of a guy named Jason who had an awesome internet talk show of his own. There were lots of voices on the air together, but he did it all alone. And one day Bunny messaged him on Facebook, and they knew the NSA would be appalled that these two would do a show together. And now you're about to hear what it is called.
According to Me
and Bunny.
According to Me
and Bunny. This is the theme song for According to Me and Bunny.
From the Kensington Place Studios, this is According to Me and Bunny. Barack Obama, John Boehner, and Donald Trump's second most hated internet radio program, the 2-hour show that lasts 60 minutes. And during those next 60 minutes, sit back, be prepared to be informed, entertained, and possibly offended. I'm your host, Jason New Wilkins, and joining me by my side, as she likes to do every week now, which is super awesome. No other further introduction needed, quite frankly. Polita Bunny foo-foo, hopping through the internet, scooping up some liberals and bopping them on that. Sam Jenny.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. People can hear you this week.
That's great. Huh?
People can hear you this week, correct?
Am I doing what this week? I'm sorry. I just have FYI, I'm like single parenting it tonight, and so my kids are running in and out of my room. So if you hear the mini foo-foos, there you go. This is real life radio, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know.
This is as live as it gets, so welcome to the show, folks.
Yeah, it's great.
Glad that you guys are here, and we talk a couple of minutes before every episode, make sure everything's working, unlike last week. This week it works. Thank you for those of you in the chat room. I appreciate it. K98talk.com/chat-room. Go on in there, show us some love. But Bunny and I were talking in the beginning of the show, and I'm just telling you folks, for those of you who love Bunny for who she is, as we all do.
Yes, everyone loves me.
She's real fired up this evening. Just be warned, NSA, I'll give you the next 10 seconds to hit record and go.
Wait, so we have like a planned routine tonight, right? Because I don't want to go off script because I have a lot to talk about.
No. We're not planned at all. Actually,
we're not planned.
Well,
don't do that to me because I'll just yammer for like an hour if you don't see me on track.
Little behind the scenes stuff here. See, what's weird about Sam and I coming together and doing a show, even though the feedback so far for those of you who've listened to the shows before has been outstanding. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Has been. We are totally different yet very similar in many ways. Sam is a very get behind the mic, hit record, and just go. And I do that as well, but my show is a bit more structured, where I go, okay, well, first segment, I'm going to do this, blah, blah, blah. So Sam and I have put ourselves together here, and it's been interesting, because I'm the organized one, not that she is, and she's the, whatever, dude, this is what I'm going to talk about. So, but that's what makes her great, and that's why I'm glad that she's here, and it makes me be a little bit more free-flowing as well. So,
well, and you do the show with no pants, and I wear pants, so there's that difference too, right?
That's true, and pants are optional here on According to Me and Bunny. I don't know if you guys knew that, but it's a new rule we instituted last week, completely optional. Listening, totally mandatory. Pants. But as far as attire, pants, completely optional. Just throwing that out there.
Please wear pants, and if you're not, don't send me a picture. I'm good not knowing. It's all good, But yeah, I wear pants. Jason doesn't. That's another difference in the show.
And let Bunny's imagination run wild when it comes to not wearing pants. Why send a picture when the imagination can go in so many great places?
I'm going to have so many bad DMs, dude. I just know it already. But yeah.
So speaking of bad DMs.
Bad DMs.
Craziness on the Twitters. The last week that you and I have talked, and you have talked to a bunch of people on Twitter. And we sort of disagree on Kim Davis. Yeah, and so I wanted to start the show with that this week. I know there's a lot of talk about this, but a lot of the talk is the same thing. This is not something you're going to hear from a lot of hosts, quite frankly, in a conversation involving Sam and I about this issue. And Sam's been very outspoken on the Twitters.
No. Yeah. Not me.
But Sam, Kim Davis. What are your thoughts on the whole thing?
Here's the thing, and I'm glad we're talking about it on the radio because I wrote a blog about it. I think I've explained the law 1,000 times on Twitter, and I have just started saying okay to people who say other things to me about her at this point. I understand that in the country right now, it feels like Christianity is being persecuted and that we can't have our own beliefs, blah, blah, blah. I get it. I respect it. But Kim Davis is not the face of religious freedom in any shape or form. Kim Davis, to me, is a public servant, which is key here. Public servant. She's also an elected official. And she doesn't get to pick and choose the members of the public she serves because she does or doesn't agree with her or how they live their lives. Now they're going to say it's not the law. Unfortunately, right now, it is basically the 14th Amendment. And I don't agree with the ruling. Please don't call me a liberal or ask me if I switched frickin' sides. It is just the ruling as it stands as of now is the law of the land is the 14th Amendment. So that means same-sex marriage. She has to sign those licenses, right? It's not about taking away her belief in God. She can worship God all day. She can do whatever she wants religiously. I really don't care. But she cannot use her faith to discriminate against people and not give them full service of the legal services of the government. She is an extension of the government, period. There is no great, huge conspiracy here. There's no great drama here. And God, do we really want a Democrat like Kim Davis to be the face of religious freedom? It just drives me nuts. I really, she came out of jail and it was like, hallelujah, and the angels sang, and Mike Huckabee's there eating up all the publicity. And I just wanted to go find her and punch her in the head. It makes me nuts that she is this martyr, that she couldn't be an adult and go, you know what? I am so offended at the idea of signing a license for gay people that I'm going to resign in protest. No. She had to go the victim route. She had to go to put me in jail route, and that damn judge made her a ridiculous martyr.
Well,
you can talk.
Breathe. Here are my thoughts on it. I guess what frustrates me about the whole thing is, as much as I'm for her, I'm against her. Mm-hmm. I'm really torn, honestly, and it's not something that I usually ever am. But more infuriating to me about this whole situation, and this is a consistent theme with me, which is consistency.
Yeah.
Both sides of the argument here are wildly inconsistent. And that's what drives me crazy about it. For Kim Davis and what she stands for and believes, whether you like it or not, you also have a judge in Dallas who for 3+ years has refused to marry heterosexual couples because she is gay and her state, up until last week, did not observe marriage equality. And so she refused to do it. Now, everyone in the left yawns. Who cares? Well, good for her, actually, because she's speaking up and standing up for what's right. But Kim Davis does that. Whoa, hey, you Christian bigot bitch.
You bigot
Hold
bitch.
on.
Exactly.
There's no difference there. Be consistent. No. If you're against the judge in Dallas, then be against Kim Davis. Which I know you and I both are, Sam. But you can't be for one and against the other. Because they're both public servants. They both have opposite opinions or opposite stances on the situation. But what happens is the right says, yeah, well, she's a Christian and I believe in religious freedom and you should be able to stand in this country for what you think is right. Okay, you could say that. But I guarantee you, 3 years ago, those same people were going, did you hear about that crazy gay judge down in Dallas who won't marry straight people? Well, wait a minute. There's no difference here. Be consistent. I have leftist friends of mine who on Facebook are like, normally I don't get all political, but Kim Davis should die in a fire. Okay. So all I do is just post the story in Dallas and go, and begin. Read this story, and you tell me the difference here. And, of course, my leftist friend is, dude, you had to go back to like 3 years ago? And I'm like, that's the point. She's been doing this for 3 years, and no one cares. Kim Davis does it for, 4 days, however long it was? And the fact that she was put in jail, however, a little ridiculous. There are ways to handle... She's in contempt. Okay, but the judge in Dallas couldn't have been in contempt? By another judge?
Absolutely. She should be in contempt.
But see, that's the difference. This is where the right is right on this one. No one would dare have the balls in Texas to say, hey, gay activist judge, you're in jail. Piss off. No one will do that.
Another judge, and it'd have to be a higher judge.
Okay, but no one would do that.
The judge said, hey, you're a publicly elected official. Do your job. And Kim said, no. And judge said, you're in contempt. She's not in jail for her religious beliefs. And this is one of the big sticky things for me. Because there are people out there going, God bless Kim Davis. She stood by her beliefs and she's in jail for it. No, she's in jail because she told a judge to fuck off. And that's contempt. Can't do that. And 9 out of 10 people go to jail for contempt. I get it. Holder hasn't been in jail. He was in contempt. This judge in Texas would have to have a higher level judge hold her in contempt.
True.
But I agree.
And I will say, but here's the thing.
She should be in jail.
Here is the difference, though. In fairness, the judge in Dallas was like, hey, that's just my personal thing. There are plenty of other judges who will get you married. In fact, I'll get you in touch with them. It's all good. Just me personally, not going to do it. Now, that's the opposite of what Kim Davis did. Because Kim Davis not only didn't do it herself, but anyone around her was like, no, hold on. I run the show here. You're not doing that. Well, hold on. Well, if you want to take a personal stance, take a personal stance. Right. Then walk away, have someone else do it.
Yeah, have some dignity. And I'm sorry, there is no dignity in standing around, shaking your fist and crying next to Mike Huckabee because you won't do the damn job you were elected to do. And please don't tell me, well, it wasn't the law when she took her oath. It doesn't matter what the law was. The law will change as the days go on. You don't go, yes, I will uphold the law, but only the ones I agree with. That is not how it works for a publicly elected official. And I know I sound bitchy, but I feel like I've explained this a million times. And it's really scary because I see people on the left who agree with me. And it scares the shit out of me that people on the right don't get it. Because reality is she is not a private sector employee. If she owned a bakery, the bakers in Oregon, that is horseshit what happened to them. In private enterprise, they should have every right to say, I refuse service to you because you're purple, green, and blue and you're gay. They have every right to do that in the private sector. At least they should. But in the public sector, they do not have that right. Period.
Sam, before we go to break, I think, you're fired up this evening, and that's what we love about you. But I think we need to lighten your spirits a little bit.
I hate you.
Because nothing really warms the cockles of one's heart than Bernie Sanders. Take it away, Bernie.
As I went walking,
Jason.
Because as we know,
you're a bastard.
Bernie's folk music really warms the soul. And say what you want, the kids are digging Bernie quite a bit. They really are.
No.
They really are. And it's because of his message. And we are kidding ourselves if we don't think that... Watch the VMAs for just a couple of seconds and you'll see...
I will not.
...that hip-hop really is the way to the kids, right? It's a way to get the kids to pay attention to what's going on. And
people
right
after
this little transition piece... No.
Just saying.
It's time for You to hear the latest politician to throw his hat in the musical ring, if you will. That's now.
According to me.
Have you heard the Bernie Sanders folk album from like a long time ago? It's really powerful and grand.
Hey, yo, forget Bernie Sanders. That socialist fossil ain't got nothing. Yeah, that's right. Reduce, Reuse, Recycled Records is proud to present an album that keeps it real. You heard his poetry before. You know he can hang. Former vice president, former presidential candidate, and current MC to ecosystem, Al Gore busts out the album of the year, Algorithm. Hey, what's up, dogs? G's up, hoes down. It's the notorious G-O-R-E. And make sure that you check out my new album. See, despite what you may think, when it comes to my musical taste, I keep it gangster. On Algorithm, I'll share with you my favorite hits in hip-hop. And I kick it old school, as well as give you some modern-day flavor. Yeah, that's right. And speaking of old school, listen to Al Gore flow like a faucet on Recycler's Delight, yo. A drip, drop, a drip into the drip, drip, drop, it won't stop. Recycle baby bottles and papers and plastics and stop driving SUVs. Now, what you hear is not a test, I'm rapping to the beat. Or check out this track. It's so hot you won't know if the earth or your headphones are on fire. The hottest temps on file, right-wingers in denial. To tell a lie, the earth will die. It's tricky, yo, 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 here we go. It's tricky, listen, my friend, to tell bold-faced lies to the UN. It's tricky, tricky, it's tricky. Hey, Al, let me holler at you. You sell that track, you're gonna be under arrest because it's dope. Well, thanks. And if you thought that was something, wait till I bust a rap in your ass and get all gangsta on you, like on this next track. Rolling down the street in my Tesla, sipping on Jamba Juice, laid back, with my mind on my planet and my planet on my mind. Rolling down the street in my Tesla, sipping on Jamba Juice, laid back, with my mind on my planet and my planet on my mind. Hey man, is it hot in here, or is it just me? Now, trust me, it's hot in here. I'll say, the earth is hot this year. So hot, so take off all your clothes. The planet's getting so hot, Al Gore's gonna take his clothes off. I'll say, the earth is hot this year. So hot, so take off all your clothes. The planet's getting so hot, Al Gore's gonna take his clothes off. No auto-tune, no duets with Pitbull or Lil Jon, just straight hip-hop from the Eco MC himself. Rappers today may have rhythm, but ain't none of them got algorithm. In order to minimize the carbon footprint of this album, ain't no plastic CD cases or glossy paper used. In fact, it ain't even on CD. You can buy the whole album or your favorite tracks on the internet, which I invented. And all the proceeds go to fighting the climate crisis, so you can bust a move and a movement. It's Algorithm, yo. Get it today.
1% of the proceeds actually go to saving the planet. The other 99% go directly to Al Gore. Al Gore wants to upgrade his private plane. Upgrading his private plane allows him to more efficiently travel to other parts of the world so he can spread the word /lie about the danger/convenient crisis we/he have put ourselves in. Listening to this album can result in the following symptoms: zombie-like responses to anything resembling facts, increased listening to NPR, a strange desire to throw one's fecal matter, a strange desire to no longer shower, unexplained urges to become a total vegan or at least become a gluten-free vegetarian, a strong disdain for capitalism so strong you will post it on Facebook and Twitter on your new iPhone while using Wi-Fi at Starbucks, and a strong likelihood of being a complete annoying douche who wants you to know how much they care for the planet.
Back here live at the Waterfront Village with my friend, the zombie, Jonathan. You're looking good. Jonathan just got an awesome face paint job. What do you think?
I like turtles.
All right. You're a great zombie. And good times here at the Waterfront Village.
According to me.
Welcome back to the show, folks. The earth is getting so hot, Al Gore's gonna take his clothes off, you say.
No. Not a good visual. No,
not at all. Hey, some people enjoyed it. And if you want to pick up that album, make sure you do that right away. Actually, you can download it right on the internet. So thank you, Al Gore, for giving us that. We certainly do appreciate that. But I know it made Sam's night. It usually does.
Yeah.
As often as we can. So speaking of embracing, this is where Sam wants to go off script, go off plan, and I couldn't agree more. Sam is, many of you know Sam as the little bunny foo-foo going through the Twitters and destroying people. And that's how I got a chance to meet her as well. And the biggest target for her recently, and the biggest target towards her recently, have been one and the same. Sam, tell the good folks at home the bane of your existence right now when it comes to the Twitters.
Well, there's so many. But, the big thing for me right now is, there's two things, but we'll go with Donald Trump first. And I'm sorry, you guys, you had to know that we would be talking about Daniel. I see Daniel Stafford in the chat. Donald Trump. We'd have to talk about Donald. Before I came on the air, I was doing some show prep, and I'm always nagging people out on Twitter, come listen. And I noticed a line out there that says that Donald Trump is making fun of the way Carly Fiorina looks. That he says, look at that face. Can you imagine voting for her for president? Because, she's ugly or whatever. And I'm getting so much complaining that I'm bashing Trump and I should be bashing the left and I shouldn't be disrespectful to his supporters, blah, blah, blah. I'm done with his supporters. I'm trying really hard, and I've really lost my sense of humor when it comes to them. And I've lost my sense of humor when it comes to Trump. Megyn Kelly asked him questions he couldn't answer. She was on the rag. And Hugh Hewitt asked him questions he couldn't answer. They were gotcha questions on a third-rate talk show. And now he's saying Carly Fiorina, who could answer the questions dumbass couldn't answer, is ugly. I cannot understand, and help me here, Jason, I cannot understand why anybody wants him to be president. I don't get it. If all they want is someone to be an asshole, vote for me because I'm as big an asshole and I actually know what the hell I'm talking about. Because this is ridiculous that we are looking at someone on the right who is, clearly just ignorant of reality, how government works. He doesn't know the difference between a cut and a curd. He wants to be president. And people are like, well, he's going to build a wall and he's going to make Mexico pay for it. And hee-haw. I'm just done. And I'm sorry if that offends you. If you're a Trump supporter, please get some therapy because this is ridiculous that we are cheering on an asshole of this epic proportion just because we want someone who stands up. I get it. Obama has been a ridiculous joke for 7 years, and we're tired of being told to be nice. We're tired of PC. We're tired of having to play nice with people. But he goes beyond standing up. There's a difference between being outspoken and telling it like it is and being an asshole, and he has crossed that line to me.
It's funny when we were putting the show together, at least, we were in the beginning of the day, I said, you know what? It's possible we may not actually engage in any Donald Trump conversation for the first time since we've done a show. That Trump humpers around the world will rejoice that at least for 60 minutes, Bunny and me will not have a conversation about Donald Trump. But then he has to do what he did later on in the day, which we'll get into that here in a second. But let me answer your question, Sam, in regards to it. A couple things. One, I am not the person who's ever said this before, but I'm going to say it now. Uh-huh. We get so viscerally angry at the supposed quote-unquote war on women. And yet, I will be as bold to say that Donald Trump's treatment towards his opponents of the opposite sex is nothing more than a atypical, stereotypical macho pig douchebag. When you lose the argument, you immediately go to, well, she's a dumb broad, that's what
she's
he
a dumb
does.
broad.
And if you want to go there, okay, can we vote for Carly Fiorina with a face like this? Can we vote for a candidate with hair like that, Donald? That's a great question. But yet I won't ask that question because there's about 900 more important things that I'd rather look at besides someone's characteristic or hair or whatever the case may be. I want to know what's between their ears. And what I know is between your ears, Donald, is red meat, rah-rah, head football coach nonsense. That's what it is.
It makes me crazy. And I hate being at odds with people who I usually respect, because there are so many smart people out on conservative Twitter. There are brilliant minds going, yeah, Donald Trump's going to kick ass. I'm like, what's wrong with you? What happened? There's people who I think are really bright who are completely lost here. And it's frustrating. And then they get mad and they say, well, then it goes into the whole white genocide nonsense. And you know what really, I'm sorry, another side note. You know, the whole cockroach people, the one who always come talking about white genocide and, the brown people are going to destroy our country and they love Donald Trump. Tell them that white is not a race. They will bitch at you for 3 days. Just so you know, if you really want to freak them out, tell them white isn't a race. But this is what I'm seeing, and this is what's really disconcerting is, for years we've been hearing Republicans and conservatives are racists and they're bigots and they're mean to women and blah, blah, blah. We've been fighting these stereotypes. Here comes Donald Trump. Yeah, that broad's a bitch and she's ugly and this is huge. And that stupid woman, she looks like she got hit with a frying pan. He's just ridiculous. And what's really telling, though, is Ben Carson, a black conservative, is up on him in second. Carly Fiorina is a woman conservative. She's third. Rubio is doing great. He's a Hispanic. I mean, there are people out there paying attention. I just wish they would stop paying attention to the dumbass in first place right now. He's making me nuts.
But the only thing that's really driving that, and you look at Iowa's polls right now, you have Trump number 1, you have Carson number 2, you have Fiorina number 3. What do all those have in common? Nothing to do with politician. No, nothing to do with politician. They are the opposite of a politician. And that's the draw. So I get it. You want somebody in there who doesn't have an R or a D next to his name. You want an outsider. You want somebody who isn't part of the Washington machine. I get it. But Trump ain't that guy. He's admitted to you he's part of the Washington machine because he pays people to do what he wants.
He is the machine. There is no bigger lobbyist than Donald Trump. He gives money to everybody. He gave money to Pelosi. He gave money to Reid. He gave money to the Clintons. There is no bigger lobbyist, but he's against the machine. He has paid for the machine to run, and I don't know how you explain that any better. And then they're like, I don't care what you say. I'm going to vote for Trump. I'm like, oh, my God. So I'm going to prove you wrong. I don't care. He can be a complete progressive Democrat, but screw you. I'm going to vote how I want. So there. This is exactly what I'm running into.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. For those who are simply paying attention, they just simply want somebody who says a bunch of red meat BS. And speaking of red meat BS, I listened to and watched the Stop Iran rally in D.C. today, and it was pretty good. There was some really good statements by Ted Cruz. Was phenomenal once again, but Ted Cruz is my guy, so maybe
he can really speak. I mean, there is something. He is a great orator. He really is
so good. And but then for every Ted Cruz, Glenn Beck was really good today. He was on fire. But for every Ted Cruz and Glenn Beck, there was Sarah Palin and Donald Trump. And I learned a little thing on the Twitters today. You've probably known this a lot longer than me. I have approximately now, 19 followers on Twitter. But those 19 followers, they get a nice slice of common sense conservatism and ADHD in 140 characters or less. There's a nice plug for it. But I will say that, you're a lot more seasoned in this, and I didn't realize that saying anything negative about Sarah Palin immediately results in me being called a commie, pinko, non-conservative, non-libertarian piece of crap.
Yep.
Oh, my God. Because
I saw who you ran into, and that person has been trying to push Sarah Palin for president for like 4 years. He blocked me 2 years ago. Yeah.
Here are my thoughts on Sarah Palin. I'm curious yours because we haven't talked about this.
No.
I like Sarah Palin for one reason and one reason only. And it's the same reason why I love Ted Nugent. Follow me here. The best thing about those two is the mere mention of either of their names. It drives them out of their mind. You talk about setting a trap. Just get in a conversation with a far leftist and go, hey, did you see Ted Nugent on Fox News the other day? Oh, my God, get ready for it. It will be a minute and a half of Ted Nugent is such a piece. And they just go into it. And they do the same thing with Sarah Palin. That's the only thing I like about Sarah. But I will say this. Sarah Palin, especially today, I don't have any audio of it, but go back and listen to it. It was nothing more than 10 minutes of a cheerleader, let's insult the president, because the reason why we're not getting serious about Israel is because he's a Muslim. Yeah! And he should be paying more attention to the Middle East than worrying about mountains in my home state. Yeah! Oh, that's what it was 10 minutes of rah, rah, sis, boom, bah. It was meaningless. It was awful with a capital A. She's terrible, dude. She's bad. She's really, really bad. And the fact that conservatives rally around her like she's this really well-spoken Mama Grizzly is nuts. She's awful. She's better than McCain. That's about it. She's not any good.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just like I can't believe it. We are going to, by the way, if you're listening to this show, whether the podcast or live, we have insulted social conservatives, we have insulted Trump humpers, and we have insulted Sarah Palin in the last half hour. So for anybody who tries to categorize our show as a Fox News clone roundtable conversation, play a game of hide and go F yourself. Because that didn't happen for the first half hour of the show. Thank you.
Yeah. I make everybody mad, Jason. It's a gift. I think Sarah is good because she came into the whole picture as this strong conservative female that we had never really seen before. So I have a lot of respect for her doing that. I also have a lot of respect for that she takes a lot of shit and she still does her thing. Nobody gets beat up like Sarah Palin. Not even Obama gets beat up like Sarah Palin. So I give her that respect because I get beat up and I'm like, God, I'm exhausted of these people. I can't imagine because she's like 10 million times what I get. And so I respect that. All that being said, I never want her anywhere near the Oval Office. I never want her running for any office that would have any authority because I think she's really good in grassroots. And I think like Trump is good for grassroots. He really have no business running the country in any capacity because they just don't understand how things work. And please don't get mad at me if you love Sarah. That's great. I'm glad you love her. I think she says some really fun things. I think she has a great impact and freaks out the left, which makes me giggle. But I just, You know why he doesn't like Israel? Because he's a Muslim. Well, no, come on. He doesn't like him because he's an asshole and has problems because Netanyahu is more popular than he is, and Netanyahu makes him look stupid. Let's be honest. It's personal for him, but it's not because he's a Muslim. He may be a Muslim. I don't know. But the whole thing is, why do that? What does that really do except get people going, yeah, screw Obama? It doesn't really address why the Iran deal is so horrible.
And that's why, but yet sadly, you look at Sarah Palin, you look at Donald Trump, and I said this just before that we got on the air. To me, if you're a sports fan, it's like having a head coach of your favorite team going, hey, listen, I got a long track record of winning, okay? And we win. And those other teams suck. And those coaches don't know what they're doing. And I build a team that wins. And we're going to go out there every Sunday, and we're going to win. Okay.
Yeah.
But
cool.
Then it is found out that he has no playbook. He has no strategy. He has no scouting department. He has no plan to win other than he just says it a lot. Well, that doesn't equal anything.
No.
And sooner or later, if your team is 0-10 and your coach, let's say this is football, they've lost the first 10 games of the season, your coach is going, hey, look, we're building a foundation of winning. What are you going to say after a while? Where's the proof, dude? The proof's in the pudding. Where are your results? They're crap.
Yep.
And it's just fluff. It just drives me crazy when people use a platform and make it fluff. And that's it.
Well,
just a bunch of
that's the
applause
thing.
lines.
We
Are
have them
we?
too. I mean, that's
do we
what-
want
that's
Jimmy
what a
Fallon
pop
to
is.
run for president, or do we want a serious candidate to run for president? Because what's the difference?
You know, and then this always, and I'm sorry if this upsets people, but really, Trump is the Republican Obama. He has pretty things he's saying. Well, they're actually not pretty; they're horrible. But he says things that people relate to emotionally, and what really bothers me, I think, about him is that he knows people are angry. He knows we're scared because our country really is in trouble, and he's playing on that. He really is using that to get what he wants. And please don't tell me no one can buy Donald Trump when the asshole's having fundraisers for himself. Anybody can buy anybody if they have enough money. And he's hanging out with some really wealthy people. So please don't tell me he can't be bought. He is really just a puppet. And I used to make jokes about Obama being the puppet and like the Democratic sign or whatever, that they built him out of pieces. You know, the Democratic Party is like, oh, we need a black dude and he needs to be charming and we'll just put him together and that's what we'll put out there. That's what Trump has become. We need someone out there who's going to shake his fist and kick some ass and take some names and hell yeah, America. And he's rich. This is awesome. But the guy doesn't know a cud from a curd.
Ted Cruz said something today
Me nuts. Mm-hmm.
that I thought was pretty impactful, and he got a reaction from the crowd that was mixed. And it was, there's a way that this deal ends. Most people, by the way, look at this as symbolism. Most people see the outrage on Capitol Hill today and going, it doesn't matter because the votes are already in. So, certain Democrats could say, I'm against this deal. They know it will pass. So they could say, hey, look, I wasn't on that side, but what do you want from me? Many people are saying that. Ted Cruz brought up something that's very, very paramount. And when we talk about Mitch McConnell, and we talk about John Boehner, and we talk about the turtle and the orange one, and we rip on them the way we do, what Ted said was brilliant because he said it in a way who's like, look, here is what our leadership can do. But he also, in my opinion, put it on them, which is what hasn't happened in this deal that was announced today by Ted Cruz is that Obama has not released the side agreements to the deal. But yet we have this deadline, and this deadline's got to be passed. Now, by law, what John Boehner and Mitch McConnell can say is, look, the clock hasn't even started on Congress yet because you've not given us the side agreements, and by law, we won't vote for anything unless the side agreements are part of the discussion and to be brought on as part of the legislation that we would approve this or deny this in the first place as a Congress. But the Speaker and the Senate Majority Leader need to run with this. This is their ball. They can run with it if they choose to do it. And I think it was brilliant because it puts Ted Cruz in a position where either way he looks good. Either the Speaker of the House and the Senate Majority Leader have a spine and actually stand up against this awful Iran plan, or they do what they've consistently done, which is tuck their tails between their legs and run. And that way Ted Cruz can say, once again, this is the problem with the Washington cartel. It's genius, really. Either that, or they could say, hey, use your pen, President Obama, because we're not signing off on this. Go against what the American people are saying. Every American, the 70% of Americans who are against this deal, please know your president is the only reason that happened.
Well, it's the same thing, though, like when we can say no Republicans supported Obamacare. What they really should have done also with, like, defunding Planned Parenthood. McConnell comes out and says, well, he's just going to veto it anyway. And it's like, who gives a shit? Let him veto it. Make him veto it. Make him say, yeah, I know 70% of Americans want abortion banned or limited, but I signed off and I vetoed saying we're going to keep giving those butchers money. Make him do it. Don't coddle, you stupid little turtle, and put your head in your shell. Say, hey, you want to fund it? You do it. Congress says no. President, you say yes, and it's on his shoulders, and that's what they should have done with this deal. That's what they basically did with Obamacare. Republicans are like, I ain't signing that shit, and now they can say, look, Obamacare, Republicans didn't sign on it. But we can't do that with this other piece now.
But the problem is Republicans just want to replace Obamacare, not repeal.
Well, Trump likes it. Trump can't wait to have single payer. He thinks it works great.
Let's lighten the mood a little bit more. Let's laugh. All right. One of my favorite sound bites of Donald Trump of all time happened today.
Okay.
So he wiggles his way back into, according to me and Bunny, as he likes to do when he says this.
Talk about the fact that we have 4 wonderful people over there, and frankly, they're never going to come back with this group. And I will say this, if I win the presidency, I guarantee you that those 4 prisoners are back in our country before I ever take office. I guarantee that. They will be back before I ever take office because they know that's what has to happen, okay? They know it, and if they don't know it, I'm telling them right now.
Hold on, let me see if I can go back to that part.
No, I don't want to hear it.
We will be back before I ever take office because they know that's what has to happen, okay? They know it, and if they don't know it, I'm telling them.
They know it.
They know it. They're going to do it because I said so.
Oh, it's the same answer as Mexico. They're going to build a wall, and I'm going to tell them. It's
the same thing as Ford. They're going to come back to the States because I'm going to tax people 35% on car parts. And oh God,
and I can just imagine the Ayatollah Khomeini who's like, you know what's going to happen. Donald Trump wins. I mean, we've got to release him. I mean, what are we going to do? I know we say death to America all the time, but Donald Trump. It's what we got to do. That would never happen. And the problem is, no one's told Donald, hey, Donald.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
We are great. Dude, we're great Satan. Did you hear that today? We're great Satan.
And yeah. Iran's saying, hey, we totally fooled the great Satan, by the way. It's awesome.
Dumbass. Yeah.
But Donald,
God.
Let me tell you something that you may hear for the first time in your life as the President of the United States. Ready? No. There you go. That's it. It may be something you actually hear for the first time in your life, Donald. What a douche. My God.
He really is a douche.
Speaking of douche, really quick, we're actually going to end this show on a serious note. So I want your feedback on this too, Sam, because it's time for this week's Asshat of the Week.
Okay.
For this week's
Sam, you're a football fan. I know you're a Broncos fan. You love football. Football's kicking off this week. It starts tomorrow, in fact, with the season opener. And how ironic that the season opener involves the New England Patriots. Isn't that weird? That's funny.
It's crazy.
Now, I've said since day one, and will continue to say this again, and I know a lot of you are political junkies, and if I mention sports on the air, you're like, talk politics. Piss off for 3 minutes and let me vent, okay? Here's what it is. The entire Deflategate scandal was an absolute joke, and here is why. You have a commissioner of the NFL who runs the Good Old Boys Club. You have a commissioner of the NFL that's nothing more than a puppet of the owners. You have a commissioner of the NFL who picks and chooses who he goes after and doesn't go after until public outrage ensues, and then he overcompensates for it by being a complete out-of-control prick that's going to suspend you for half a season because you got a speeding ticket. He goes from 0 to 60 in 5 seconds flat. Now, what we found out just a couple days ago is the good old commissioner of football, the reason why he's going after Tom Brady and the whole Deflategate scandal with the New England Patriots is because of Spygate that happened several years ago, in which the Patriots were involved with filming practices and getting playbooks, and it was just like one practice is what it was released. Turned out way bigger than that. Huge bigger than that. All the owners knew it. No one else knew. So here's what happened. Now, the Indianapolis Colts catch a football. It's a little deflated. And the NFL owners are like, well, look at look at Roger Goodell letting the Patriots do whatever they want again. So Roger Goodell had to say, well, I'll show you who's boss. I'll suspend you for, let me get my dartboard. 4 games. There it is. That's what I'll do with no basis whatsoever. Look, it's just like when steroids were in baseball. Everyone did them because no one paid attention and gave a crap. No one pays attention or gives a crap to the fill level or the air level of a football until now. The bottom line is nothing was checked for years probably with the New England Patriots because no one checks any of it because no one gives a crap until it becomes an issue with one team who got their ass kicked in the AFC Championship, and now the owners smell blood and they want their puppet to do their bidding. So I find it hilarious, despite if you're a Patriots fan or not, and I am not, but I find it funny how last week Roger Goodell got slapped in the face and made look like a fool once again. And so bravo Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. And you, Mr. Roger Goodell, are this week's Asshat of the Week.
Tune in next week for another exciting installment of Asshat of the Week.
What are your thoughts on that, Sam? Roger Goodell, you a big fan?
You know, I think Tom Brady's an asshat. I think he's a douche. So I'm a little different take on that. You know, they also have discovered that there was so much more to the spying that was going on, that there were people dressing up as NFL just workers going into to these locker rooms of these other football teams to spy on them. These were Patriots. These were people spying for the Patriots, dressed up as officials and things, going into locker rooms to spy. Now, it's wrong that they covered it up, and he's an asshat for that. But I think the Patriots are the bigger problem, and so I would call them a douchebag, to be honest with you.
Well, I don't disagree with the Patriots being an awful organization based on Spaggate alone, if that's true. But
God, that's horrible.
The fact that Roger Goodell knew this happened and did nothing about it, and now he's got to throw a bone to the rest of the 30-some-odd owners who smell blood, and he ends up looking like a douche not once, but twice. But
then there's also, like, with the Bronco player, his last name's Ward. I can't remember what it was. Something that he did 6 months ago that he ended up getting off for, and he got suspended for, like, 3 games or something. And I think it was Tito Ward. I'll have to look it up. But he got suspended for something that happened but didn't happen. He got off, and they still suspended him. And he came out on Twitter. He said, well, I guess my last name isn't Brady, so tough shit.
Wow.
You know, they cannot... Like you said, remember we talked about Kim Davis, and you're like, well, consistency. They need to be consistent and not kiss Tom Brady's ass. He should have gone ahead and lost the 4 games, and I think he's a douchebag. And I guess I'm a Broncos fan, so it's really easy for me to say that, but there you go.
It is. We're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, we're going to end on a serious note. Quick reflection on 2 days from now, September 11th.
This is According to Me with Jason DeWilkins.
Are you conservative in a world of liberal?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not alone. Hey, I'm Daniel Stafford, host of the Stafford Voice, and I'd like to invite you to tune in each Monday, 10 p.m. Eastern, where I'll break down the events of the week, and together we'll learn about how they affect you. So, sit back and get ready for the good, the bad, and the ugly of talk radio right here on K98 Talk.
If I only would have known that his show was going to be on there, I would have never invented the internet. According to me.
Good day to you. As a distinguished gentleman, I need a serious source of news. One that doesn't waste my time when I'm enjoying my tea and crumpets.
White powdered! White powdered!
One that catches the most important stories of the day.
The poop plane.
Wasn't jet poop?
Real serious nonsense. Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, now on K98 Talk.
I'm gonna just, move in another direction towards the classy.
We'll be classy and not say dildo.
They're completely different from shows that aren't.
He's the honey badger of internet radio.
Oh, the honey badgers are just crazy.
According to me.
Ew, what's that? It's mouth.
Common sense conservatism and ADHD. It's According to Me with Jason DeWilkins.
Welcome back to the show, folks. Now, normally we do the asshat of the week and the douchebags at the end of the episode. But I was actually going to do a monologue on this. And actually write this out, put it on the Polititainment.net website. And I still may do that. But you know what happened? I got busy. And what happens, I think, a lot for Americans is we get busy. The average American's busier than heck. But there are certain days of the year that really give me a day to reflect, a day to look back, a day to take inventory of what's happening. And, you know, Christmas and certain holidays certainly stand out to a lot of people, whether you think of family, you think of friends, you think of your kids, whatever it may be. But every single year, while it's an awful memory, it's also a very positive one. And that is on September 11th. And we're 14 years removed from that day. And I'm not going to rehash what happened. You know what happened that day. You know where you were that day. You knew how you felt that day. But as much as we like to poke fun, as much as we like to talk about this political party or that political party or this person on Twitter or that person on Facebook, what was so special about that day and on September 12th was the fact that for just one brief moment, we were a country truly united. And all the Republican, Democrat pettiness of politics and pettiness of the things that keep us separated went away. Just for a brief moment, just for a little moment in time, we were one. We were united. And I guess what makes us even more stand out to me is here we are about to make a peace deal with a country who will likely, and already has, sponsored the enemies who did that to us 14 years ago. And when we are one country, one nation under God, indivisible, it's amazing what we can do as a country. And yet we let the media and we let the political parties and we let ourselves, quite frankly, pull us apart. And I really want you to really take a moment on September 11th and the 12th to really think of what we can do as a country and as a nation to become one, because people who preach white power want separation between blacks and whites. People who chant Black Lives Matter want separation between blacks and whites. Those who are feminists versus those who are for, you know, being a man and so on and so forth. These are all groups that are doing nothing more than creating little buckets of people around the country and around the world. When we are united, one nation under God, it's amazing what we can do. And we've got to get back to that, because on that day, we were all Americans, we were all NYPD, we were all FDNY, and we've forgotten those moments. And it's days like September 11th that remind me of that. Sam, far be it from us to be serious, but what are your thoughts?
Well, I can hardly follow that up, but I can tell you that I remember September 11th perfectly. I remember the clothes I had on. I remember the way I did my hair. And I remember when the first plane hit, I looked at my husband and I said, he must have had a heart attack or something, because nothing in my mind could ever be that evil. And my husband looked at me and he said, there's something here. And I said, oh, no. And I'll be honest, for me, September 11th was a day that I really lost that innocence. It is also the day that I really started to pay attention to what was going on in this country. Because I remember going home that night, and I stayed at work. They said we could go home, but I wanted to stay at work because it didn't feel right to go home for some reason. But I went home, and I remember W was on, and he showed the same emotions that I was feeling. It wasn't like this perfect speech. And I mean, and W never really was this perfect speaker. But when he got up there and he was clearly as upset and as angry and as sad as I was, and in that moment, regardless of policies, regardless of ideas, I connected with him. And then the following day, when they started doing all of the shows on TV about raising money and supporting New York, and there were actors who I have never liked on the screen who I suddenly wanted to support. And we, like to your point, we were all cheering and praying for New York. And so, you know, you have to bring it down here at the end. Thanks for that. But I am really grateful that I lived through that, because I can explain to my kids now the difference in the world, and I can explain to them how important that day was. I'm really glad they missed it. But I think they need to understand the impact it had on our country and it had on our people. And so, in my opinion, you know, I think, and you brought up a great point, we don't do that anymore. You never see Americans stand together and forget their differences these days. And it's like, to your point, we are celebrating differences instead of trying to come together. So maybe we can reflect on that this year. That would be great.
I think it's important. I especially, you know, do your part. You know, there's one thing that a friend of mine said, and again, this is not sappy conservative radio. This is an angry white guy conservative radio. We like to have fun, but at the same time, you know, a friend of mine said something to me, and we may go over a little bit here, but oh well. A friend of mine said something to me, which has stuck with me for a year and a half. He listens to my show every week. God love him. And he said, all right, so you're telling us about all these things that are happening in the country, and I'm learning lots of things that I never knew before, and that's great. But so what? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, so what? What do we do? It's great to know it, but what do we do? And I haven't fully figured that part out yet. I'm still working on that. But do the part that you can. Make an impact. One thing I did without saying, oh, look at me. I live in a little town in Indiana. And I'll be damned if the police officers who I know in my town are going to be targeted, are going to be eviscerated, are going to be destroyed, are going to be made to feel as if their profession is meaningless. Not on my watch. Not going to happen. And so it may be small. But I created a local, just town, not around the country. I don't want people around the country paying attention to it. I want my folks in my town paying attention to rally around our local police officers. Let them know, let their families know that united we stand as a community in support of our police. And maybe it's because September 11th was on the horizon that it really made me think of that. It's little things. We can't change the world in a minute. But if we all do something it can make a huge difference. Reflect on that. Think about that. Little homework for you to think about until next week's episode of the show.
Okay.
Not you.
Sorry.
Damn it, buddy.
I'm sorry. You know what? You're talking all nice and sweet, and some guy's giving me flack on Twitter, and I told him to suck my balls. So I have a really... I'm so sorry. I felt guilty. I'm all trying not to show you that
positive note. God, I hate you and love you at the same time. But we talked Kim Davis. We talked Trumpy the Clown. We talked the Iran deal. We made fun of Sarah Palin. We made fun of the turtle and the orange one. And we reflected on 9/11. And that's all of the stuff going on this week, according to me and Bunny. Join us next week. We'll be back faster than you can say furious with another episode. But until then, good night, America.
Thanks, guys.